Right, hi guys and girls, here is part 2 of the Completing the Square Solutions video. There's only 4 questions left, but they might take a little bit longer to go over, we'll see. So this time I want a number in front of my bracket. So thankfully these are all divisible by 3. So if I divide them by 3, that is what I'm left with. So A is worth 3. The thing in the bracket, you now do the normal process, but just with that. So the 3 does have to stay there, but the normal process would be to halve that number to get what B is, and take away the squared of it. Now the thing you've got to be careful with is that's all multiplied by 3. Let me get rid of that, make it a little bit easier. Right, everything gets multiplied by 3. So actually your completed square form is minus 12. Alright, so now the second part of this I'm going to solve it, so I'm going to make it equal to 0. I am going to add the 12 on, divide it by 3, square root, add the 2 on, take the 2 off, so my 2 answers are 0 or negative 4. Okay, I'll do one of those again. So these are all divisible by 5. So A is going to be worth 5. So divide it all by 5 first. You can put it in squares if you like. So we get x squared plus 2x plus 4. Now do the normal process with the thing in the bracket. If you want to, you can put the 5 again on afterwards. You can just put the square brackets on. So we would half that value, take off the square, excuse me, and tack on the thing that is the constant term. And we've just got to remember that's all multiplied by 5. We would then simplify. So that would now become plus 3. And expand the square brackets. And that is your completed square form. So now we're going to solve it. We're going to make it equal to 0. So I'm going to start with taking the 15 off. And immediately I know that this has got a solution. Why does that have no solution? Well, it's because you can't square root negatives. So at this point you can say no solution. Can't square root a negative. Okay, last 2. Now not all of these are divisible by 2, but there's nothing to say that we can't have fractions everywhere. So I'm going to do the same thing. Take out a factor of 2, so that leaves me with x squared minus 3x plus 5 over 2. I'm going to leave the brackets there, so I would normally half this value here. So 3 over 2 squared, take away that number squared, so 9 over 4, tack in the thing on the end. Simplify. Okay, so if I write that as 10 over 4, that now becomes 1 over 4. And everything, get rid of the square brackets, everything gets multiplied by 2. Make it equal to 0 so we can solve it. So, I'm going to add the half onto the other side, divide by 2, square root, and add the 3/2 on. So our two answers, 3 plus 1/2 is 2, and 3 minus 1/2 be 1. So just because there's fractions there doesn't change the process. You're going to get harder numbers, but that's why I also would avoid decimals. There's no reason why these can't come up on non-calculators, because you should know how to multiply fractions together and add and subtract and all that. So last one. Okay, so we've got 2 in front of the x squared, so take that out. So we get 9/2x minus 3/2. Do the completing square process with the bracket. So half of this value would be 9/4. Take away the square of it and tack on the constant term. Simplify, so nothing changes here. So if I rewrite this as 16 and 48, no, she tells a lie, 24. Okay. So we get negative 105/16. There we go. Get rid of the square brackets, so each thing gets multiplied by 2. So it becomes 105/8. So that's your completed square form. I'm going to do this over here because I need a bit more space. So we're going to make that equal to 0 and solve it. So x plus 9/4. I'm going to add the 105/8 onto the other side. Divide through by 2. Square root. So plus or minus. I don't know the square root of 105, but I do know the square root of 16. Then take off the 9/4. So our two values are negative 9 plus or minus, you can put them separate if you want, doesn't matter if they're separate or not, plus root 105/4, or negative 9 minus root 105/4. And they are the two answers. And there's nothing wrong in those answers. They would be perfectly acceptable. Obviously, they might ask you to type them into a calculator on a calculator paper. Otherwise, surds is valid. Anyway, hope that made sense. I will see you later. Bye.